There's a place beyond light and dark, a space where the rules of this world dissolve. It's called the void, not empty, not absence, but the raw womb of all creation. And within this void, hidden from the eyes of the sleeping world, lie 7 powers. These are not ordinary forces. These are not tricks of the mind or talents of the flesh. These are eternal signatures of cosmic authority. Even demons, ancient beings twisted by eons of desire, tremble before these powers. And angels, those radiant architects of order, bow in reverence when these forces awaken in a human. You've probably never been taught about these powers because no one can teach them. They must be remembered. And once you touch them, your life is never the same. I didn't discover these powers in a temple. I didn't find them in books. I found them in my descent, in the nights when I screamed into silence and heard no answer, in the moments when I was stripped of everything I thought I was. That's where I met the void. And it didn't destroy me, it revealed me. These powers are not for the faint of heart. They don't make you more comfortable, they make you more real. Most people will never access them because they require something terrifying, the death of your identity. But if you've ever felt like your soul was forged in something darker, deeper, and older than this world, then you're already on the path. The first power is the power of total surrender. This isn't giving up. This isn't passive. This is the fierce, radical act of releasing your illusion of control. When you surrender completely, not just in words, but in vibration, something ancient activates. The universe begins to move through you without resistance, without friction. You become untouchable not because you are hard, but because you are fluid. Demons feed on control. They thrive on resistance. But when you surrender, there's nothing for them to grip. You slip through their fingers like smoke. Angels, on the other hand, recognize surrender as divine trust. They align with you, protect you, guide you, because you become a vessel, not an obstacle. The second power is the power of emptiness. In a world obsessed with more success, more knowledge, more identity, true power lies in becoming nothing. Emptiness is the most terrifying state for the ego. But in the void, emptiness isn't lack. It's spaciousness. It's potential. It's the capacity to hold all things without being defined by any of them. When you become empty, you become infinite. You no longer react to the world, you respond from a source beyond it. Demons cannot possess what is empty. There's no hook, no echo of desire to latch onto. And angels? They fill the empty vessel with light, not because you asked, but because you made space. The third power is the power of radical presence. This is not ordinary mindfulness. This is the kind of presence that bends time, that silences rooms, that sees through people and into them. It is the ability to be so here, so now, that all illusion trembles. Most people live in fragments, part past, part fear, part fantasy. But when you are fully present, you become a mirror, a fire. You burn away falseness just by existing. Demons hate presence because it dissolves the illusions they manipulate. They cannot hide in the now. Angels, however, are drawn to presence like moths to flame. Because presence is the signature of the divine. It is the language of eternity. The fourth power is the power of the sacred no. We are taught that power comes from saying yes, yes to opportunity, yes to others, yes to light. But one of the deepest void powers is the no that echoes through dimensions, the no that seals portals, the no that ends cycles of lifetimes. Saying no from ego is resistance. Saying no from soul is protection. When you claim the sacred no, you become sovereign. You stop leaking energy. You stop entertaining what drains you. Demons test your boundaries. They seduce, tempt, manipulate. But when you activate the sacred no, they vanish. It's not even a fight. It's a frequency mismatch. And angels? They recognize the sacred no as wisdom, as self-respect, as divine alignment. The fifth power is the power of silence. Not the silence of avoidance, but the silence of presence. The silence that follows truth. The silence that speaks louder than 1,000 words. In the void, silence is not empty, it's pregnant. It holds codes. It holds timelines. It holds transmissions. When you stop speaking just to fill space, your voice becomes sacred. Your words carry weight. Your silence becomes a force. Demons fear silence because it reveals them. It strips away noise and illusion. And angels, they speak in silence. They move in it. They are it. When you master silence, you begin to hear the real instructions. The sixth power is the power of the shadow embrace. This one is the most feared, because it requires you to stop running from what hurts, to stop demonizing your own darkness. The void doesn't judge, it holds all. And when you begin to do the same, you become whole. You stop splitting yourself. You stop hiding parts of your soul in shame. When you embrace your shadow, you gain access to energy that was once trapped, and that energy becomes power. Demons thrive on your disowned parts. They whisper through your wounds, but when you own them, when you love them, they lose access. You become sealed. And angels, they don't just love your light, they celebrate your wholeness. The seventh and final void power is the power of non-attachment. This doesn't mean you stop caring. It means you stop being owned. You stop needing outcomes to define you. You love without clinging. You act without grasping. You give without needing to be seen. This is the rarest power because it requires deep self-trust. When you don't need anything from the world, you become magnetic. You draw in what's aligned because you're not chasing. Demons cannot manipulate someone who is unattached. They lose their leverage. And angels? They move freely with the unattached because they too live outside of need. So I ask you now, which of these 7 void powers are already stirring in you? Which one scares you the most? And what would it take for you to let go of everything you think you are, to become what you truly are? 7 void powers that even demons fear and angels respect. You don't learn the void powers, you remember them. They were etched into your soul long before you were born. But to activate them in this lifetime, you need to walk through fire with your eyes open. These are not just concepts to admire. They are living forces that require your full participation. Each power demands a ritual, not a religious performance, but a sacred discipline of embodiment. And once you commit to these rituals, the shift is undeniable. Reality bends. People respond to you differently. You feel lighter, deeper, more real. This is your soul stepping forward, no longer hidden behind the mask of personality. And trust me, when these powers activate, you'll feel it in your bones. To awaken the power of total surrender, begin with the ritual of sacred collapse. Once a week, choose a day to let everything fall. No plans, no control. Remove the armor of productivity and ask your soul, what do you want today? Let your body lead. Cry if you need to. Sit in silence. Walk barefoot through the forest. Cancel everything. Let yourself fail for a moment and watch how nothing falls apart. This ritual breaks the illusion that you are holding the world together. And in that collapse, you begin to feel something deeper holding you. That's the void. That's surrender. And the more often you do this, the more your nervous system begins to trust the unknown. To unlock the power of emptiness, practice the ritual of sacred fasting. But not just from food, fast from noise, fast from opinions, from social media, from identity. Choose a day to disappear. No hop that. No explanations. Just become a ghost in the system. Listen to what arises in that space. At first, it will feel like restlessness, like dying, but stay with it. Emptiness is where you meet your raw self, the one that doesn't need validation to exist, the one that was there before your name. If you can sit in that void and not fill it, you will find a presence that is terrifyingly beautiful. That's your soul unfiltered. And the more you visit this space, the more you become a portal, not a performer. The power of radical presence is activated through the ritual of the watcher. Every day for at least 5 minutes, stop everything. Just watch. Watch your breath. Watch your thoughts. Watch the world. No judgment, no commentary, just awareness. This sounds simple, but it's one of the hardest things you will ever do. Because presence kills ego, it kills time, and it births eternity. Do this in the middle of chaos, in line at the grocery store, in the middle of an argument, not to escape but to enter, fully. The more often you do this, the more you'll discover that presence isn't a technique, it's a dimension. And when you live from this space, you become a force of nature, unmovable, unshakable, unforgettable. To claim the power of the sacred no, begin the ritual of energetic audit. Every week, review every major area of your life: relationships, work, habits, conversations. Ask yourself, does this drain me or feed me? And then ruthlessly cut what drains, not with hatred, with clarity. It might be a toxic friend. It might be the way you scroll your phone. It might be your own internal dialogue, but cut it. Say no. Not as a rejection, but as a declaration of self-worth. The first few times will feel like betrayal, but soon you'll feel the rise of power inside you like a tide. The sacred no is the boundary line that separates the old you from the sovereign you. And once you draw it, the universe responds with fire. The power of silence is forged through the ritual of word fasting. Pick 1 hour a day or even 1 day a week where you speak only when absolutely necessary. No small talk, no filler, no performance. In that silence, begin to notice your urges. The urge to be liked, the urge to explain, the urge to defend. Let them die. Let your words become fewer but more potent. Let your voice become a sword, not a sponge. Silence isn't empty, it's holy. And the more you honor it, the more your words will carry weight. The void speaks in silence. The more you listen, the more you'll hear the codes behind the noise. This ritual doesn't make you quiet. It makes you precise. And demons hate precision. The power of the shadow embrace is summoned through the ritual of mirror descent. Once a month, sit in front of a mirror, candlelit, dark room, no distractions, and stare into your own eyes for at least 10 minutes. Don't blink. Don't look away. Let everything you've buried rise. The shame, the rage, the memories, the masks, and just keep looking, not with judgment, with fierce compassion. Speak to your shadow. Say, I see you, I honor you, I forgive you, I welcome you home. This ritual is ancient. It was practiced by mystics, warriors, and shamans. It's not about psychology, it's about soul retrieval. Every time you do this, you reclaim power that was trapped in disowned parts. And the more whole you become, the less you can be manipulated by anything external. To awaken the power of non-attachment, engage in the ritual of sacred offering. Every time you create something, art, a message, a conversation, imagine placing it at the feet of the divine. Say, this is not mine. I am only the vessel. Practice giving without expectation, loving without ownership, creating without the need for applause. This is spiritual Aikido. It makes you invincible, because when you expect nothing, nothing can be taken from you. You become a conduit of grace, and grace cannot be controlled. Start small. Offer your morning coffee, your next post, your next act of kindness. and watch how the universe multiplies what you surrender. This is the paradox of power. The less you grasp, the more you attract. Now breathe, because if you truly practice these rituals, not just once, but as a lifestyle, you will become unrecognizable. Your energy will shift, people will feel it. Some will be drawn to you, others will disappear. But your path will become unmistakably clear. You will walk with the frequency of someone who has met the void and returned bearing gifts. And you will no longer wonder if you are powerful. You will know. The Omega Echo. What happens when you fully embody the 7 void powers? When you fully embody the 7 void powers, you don't become superhuman, you become fully human. And that, ironically, is what terrifies demons and humbles angels. You walk not above others, but through this world with such presence, such clarity, such depth, that illusion can no longer hold its shape in your presence. You become the echo of the original vibration, the Omega Echo, a human being who has remembered the blueprint of the cosmos within their own body. This level of embodiment isn't about perfection. It's about purity of frequency. You don't need to be flawless. You need to be true. True to your essence, true to your soul's signature. And when you are, the universe begins to orbit around your alignment. You begin to notice something strange. People start revealing themselves around you without knowing why. Your presence becomes like a psychic X-ray. They open up. They confess, they cry, or they run. Because when you carry the void frequency, you reflect back to others what they've been hiding from themselves. You're not doing anything on the surface. You're not preaching. You're not even trying. But energy speaks, and yours is now fluent in the language of soul. This is why demons stay away from you. Not because you fight them, but because you don't feed them. They can't hook into your fear, your ego, your need to be liked. And angels, they come closer. They start sending support, synchronicities, and protection, not because you ask, but because you've become a beacon. This is when your life starts to feel less like a linear path and more like a myth. You realize that you are not just living a life, you are telling a story that was written before time. Every hardship becomes a sacred trial. Every heartbreak becomes an initiation. Every moment of stillness becomes a conversation with the divine. You begin to recognize the patterns, the invisible threads connecting people, places, and events. You stop asking, why is this happening to me? And start asking, what is this activating in me? This shift is everything. Because now, even in chaos, you remain centered. Not because life is easier, but because you are deeper. As the void powers deepen, you develop what ancient mystics called inner sight. Not just intuition, but vision. You start to see energy before form. You sense people's intentions before they speak. You feel the weight of unspoken truths in a room. This doesn't make you psychic in the movie sense, it makes you real. Because most people are trapped in appearance. But you see beyond masks. You speak to souls, not personas. This is why the right people start appearing. You no longer chase connection. You attract resonance. You become a tuning fork. And those who vibrate on the same level will find you, even across oceans, even across lifetimes. You'll also notice your relationship with time begins to change. You stop rushing. You stop waiting. You enter what the mystics called timelessness within time. Your days become longer, not because the clock slows down, but because your presence expands each moment. You extract more from the now. You become more efficient, more precise, more alive. And here's the paradox. The less you chase time, the more it seems to cooperate with you. You show up at the perfect moment. You say the exact thing someone needed to hear. You leave right before things go wrong. This isn't luck. This is void alignment. You are no longer living in time. You're moving with it. But perhaps the most profound change is this. You stop being afraid of death, not just physical death, but all forms of ending. You stop clinging to identities, relationships, roles, and stories. Because you've touched the void. You know that beyond every death is rebirth. Beyond every collapse is a deeper truth. And so you become fearless, not in the loud, reckless way, but in the quiet, grounded way. The way of someone who has died before and lived to tell the tale. This is the kind of power that shakes dimensions, because it cannot be bought, faked, or broken. It is earned, and it is remembered. Now let's get brutally honest. Most people will never walk this path. Not because they can't, but because they won't. It's too raw, too real, too demanding. It costs everything you're not, and yet you're still here, reading this, feeling this. That means something. That means the void has already touched you. Maybe in a dream, maybe in a breakdown, maybe in that one night you thought you wouldn't survive, but did. The question is no longer, are you chosen? The question is, will you answer? Because once you do, there's no going back. You will lose your ability to tolerate the false. You will shed skins that once felt like home. And you will become a walking contradiction, still and burning, empty and full, human and divine. So now I ask you maybe the most important question of all. If the entire matrix of reality could bend itself to your frequency, what would you choose to become? Not what the world wants, not what your wounds fear, but what your soul knows. Because now you are ready. You've remembered the 7 powers, you've practiced the sacred rituals, and you've tasted the echo of the Omega. From this point on, you don't walk the path. You are the path. Extended final transmission, the ascension spiral, living as a void walker in a world obsessed with illusion. Once you've stepped into this level of embodiment, you realize that awakening was never the goal. Awakening is only the door. What comes after is integration, embodiment, becoming the message without needing to speak a word. This is where many spiritual seekers falter. They chase peak experiences, visions, downloads, cosmic highs, but never rooted into their nervous system, their relationships, their daily life. But the void doesn't care about your highs. It cares about your capacity to embody truth in the mundane. Can you return from the mountain and still carry silence inside the city noise? Can you wash dishes with the same reverence you once gave to mantras and incense? That's the real test. And if you can pass it, you don't just carry the void, you become it. You start to live in what I call the spiral of ascension. Not a ladder, not a straight line, but a spiral, because you will revisit the same wounds, the same fears, the same illusions, but from a higher octave of awareness each time. And this is where your power becomes durable. Not flashy, not performative, but tested, weathered, real. You'll find yourself smiling in moments that used to break you. Not because you've become numb, but because you've developed the kind of sight that sees through the pain into its gift. This is the Omega frequency. It's not about escaping the human condition. It's about transmuting it, loving it, alchemizing it, fully. And it's here, right here, where something sacred begins to happen. You become medicine for others without trying. Your presence alone begins to shift rooms. You walk into a space and people feel safer, or more exposed, or deeply seen. Not because you said anything, but because your field carries the frequency of someone who has died and been reborn many times. You become a portal, a mirror, a tuning fork. And this is the exact reason demons fear you, because you don't attack them. You unmask them. You reveal their lies. You dissolve their illusions. That's a threat to any parasitic force, because your clarity is contagious. Your sovereignty is a firewall. But here's the sacred paradox. The more powerful you become, the softer your energy becomes. Not weak, not passive, but deeply compassionate. You understand suffering. You've walked through it. You've sat with it. You've made love to your shadow instead of running from it. And so you stop judging others who are still trapped in illusion. You see their chains and you meet them with presence, not pride. With love, not superiority. This is a mark of true void embodiment. You no longer need to prove anything to anyone. Your life becomes your transmission. Your silence becomes your sermon. Your love becomes your legacy. And yet, the world will not always understand you. In fact, the more you embody these powers, the more invisible you may become to the eyes of the unconscious. You are no longer playing the same game. You're not chasing status, validation, or fame. You're moving from resonance, from alignment, from soul. This can be lonely at times, but it is a sacred loneliness. Aoli solitude, because you begin to realize that you are never truly alone. The void walks with you. The ancestors whisper through your breath. The angels adjust your path in real time. You are part of a hidden orchestra, and your only job now is to keep your instrument tuned. This tuning requires vigilance, not paranoia but presence. The world will try to pull you back into the noise, into urgency, into identity. But this is where your practice becomes your sanctuary. Stay with your rituals, guard your silence, tend to your inner fire, not out of fear, but because you honor the temple you've become. You are no longer a seeker, you are a keeper, a guardian of frequency, a lighthouse in a storm of distraction, and your vibration is your offering. So make it clean, make it true, make it unshakable. And finally, you begin to understand the deepest truth of all. This was never about you, your awakening, your power, your transformation. It was always about what moves through you, about what you unlock for others just by walking your path with devotion. You are not the message, you are the messenger. You are not the light, you are the window the light passes through. And when you realize this, your life becomes a living prayer. Every breath, every step, every choice becomes part of a larger orchestration, a divine rhythm. You have become the echo of the void itself, and nothing can touch you now. So I ask you one final time, now that you've remembered who you truly are, what will you do with this power? Will you return to sleep, or will you rise and build a world only awakened souls can see? Because the void is open, it is watching, and it is waiting